year as a powerful sign of a renewed world. Economic future urges Malawians to embrace hope and renewed determination in 2026. Uganda High Court denies Kizza Besigye bail in treason case. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Pope Leo XIV has described the Jubilee year as a powerful sign of a new world, changed and reconciled according to God's plan, urging the faithful to look beyond armed strategies and forced speech marking to rediscover hope rooted in Christ. The Holy Father made these remarks on Wednesday, December 31st, during the first Vespers of the Gravity of Mary, Mother of God, his final liturgical celebration of the year 2005, which was held at St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican. We have a Vatican News report read by Bridget Manoka.
Presiding over the evening liturgy before some 5,500 faithful, Pope Leo reflected on the unique richness of the celebration, noting that it draws meaning both from the mystery it commemorates and from its place at the close of the civil year. At the center of his homily was a passage from St. Paul's letter to the Galatians, which speaks of the fulfillment of time in which God sent his Son to redeem humanity. Pope Leo explained that this expression points to a great and mysterious plan for human history, one that has Christ at its very center. In a world burdened by sin and uncertainty, the Pope said humanity deeply feels the need for a wise, merciful, and benevolent plan. However, he warned that other plans are also at work, strategies aimed at conquering markets, territories, and spheres of influence, often disguised by hypocritical language, ideological claims, and false religious motives. Speaking later before the singing of the traditional hymn Te Deum, Pope Leo gave thanks to God for the gift of the Jubilee year, describing it as a sign of hope for humanity and for the world. He also expressed gratitude to all those who served pilgrims throughout 2025, helping to make Rome a welcoming city, and encouraged that spirit of hospitality to continue even beyond the Jubilee period. After the liturgy, the Holy Father went out to St. Peter's Square to pray before the nativity scene and to greet the faithful and pilgrims gathered.
Christians of Banjaloela Chilinde Parish have been urged to always give thanks to God whenever they receive His blessings, noting that gratitude is central to the Christian faith. The parish priest, Reverend Father Frank Petty, made the remarks in his homily during a Thanksgiving Mass for the Catholic Charismatic Restoration and the faithful of Banjaloela Chilinde Parish on the evening of the 1st December 2025 at Banjaloela Parish in the Archdiocese of Lilongwe. More details in this report filed by Gift Kalonga.
As part of its annual tradition, the Catholic Charismatic Renewal held a Thanksgiving Mass and special prayers to mark the end of 2025 at Banjaloela Chilinde Parish. Speaking with Luntha TV, Banjaloela Chilinde Parish priest Reverend Father Frank Petty said the end of year Thanksgiving Mass provides Christians with an opportunity to reflect on God's blessings and express gratitude. He emphasized that saying thank you goes beyond mere courtesy. It is a spiritual practice that opens hearts to receive even more from the Lord. He added that as Christians, gratitude should be a daily habit rooted in the gift of baptism that makes them children of God. Reverend Father Petty noted that acknowledging God's blessings, both big and small, strengthens faith and encourages believers to live with humility and joy.
My central message of today on the 31st of December 2025 was basically to say it's a Thanksgiving Mass. And it is a duty for us as creation and as creatures to always be thankful to God for the many, many blessings that He gives us. I was giving examples. I would say we had a very peaceful election this year. We were in the Jubilee year, and there are so many other blessings that God has given us. So it is important that ourselves should be thankful to God for the many, many things that He gives us and for the many blessings that we get from Him. The tendency of human nature is always to ask, but at the end of the day, we forget to say thank you.
Meanwhile, members of Catholic Charismatic Renewal and the faithful of Banjaloera Chirinde Parish were encouraged to practice love and guide their children to cherish the sacrament of the Eucharist as a way of building God's kingdom on the earth. For Luntha News, this is Gift Kalonga.
President of the Republic of Malawi, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, has called on Malawians to embrace hope and renewed determination in 2026, noting that early signs point to economic recovery following a challenging year. In his New Year message, Mutharika reflected on the economic hardships faced in 2025, including rising inflation, shortages of essential commodities, and declining household savings, describing the period as one of hardship for many Malawians. Chalwe Chilanga with the details.
Mutharika said the country experienced shortages of fuel, foreign exchange, fertilizer and food, noting that Malawi had grown poorer compared to previous years. However, he said the situation is improving following the change in leadership in September. The president reported that inflation is declining, fuel shortages are easing and power outages are reducing. Developments, he said, demonstrate that the country's economic recovery plan is on track. He added that the improving economic indicators are restoring confidence among potential investors, while the government continues to lay the groundwork for recovery in key sectors. Mutharika acknowledged that hunger remains a major challenge, saying government has intensified the distribution of relief food and ensured that ADMAC markets are stocked with maize. He reiterated that no Malawian should die of hunger and urged those involved in food distribution to act diligently.
Against corruption, so that these efforts should bear fruits. I call upon each one of you to play your part. If you are a farmer, strive to produce more. If you used to plant once a year, aim to plant twice. If you are a business person, expand the goods and services you provide and employ more people. I'm creating a conducive environment for everyone to be productive. Together, we can make 2026 a year of renewal and progress for our families and our nation.
Looking ahead, the president said government will boost agricultural production beyond domestic needs to enable exports, while maintaining fiscal discipline and investing in productive sectors such as mining, energy, roads and railway infrastructure to drive industrialization and create jobs. He also reaffirmed his commitment to fighting corruption, saying it is essential for national development efforts to succeed. Mutharika called on Malawians to play their part in national recovery by increasing productivity in farming and business, expressing confidence that 2026 will be a year of renewal and progress.
The Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi, ESCOM, has reported widespread power outages across the country after heavy rains and strong winds damaged its electricity infrastructure. ESCOM Public Relations Officer Pilan Piri said the opposing weather conditions have swiftly disrupted service delivery, affecting power supply in several parts of the country. Manuel Kilcha reports.
In an interview with Luntha, Pili said the heavy rains and strong winds have caused significant damage to power lines and other key infrastructures, leading to blackouts in many areas across the country. He noted that the impact has been widespread, prompting ESCOM to focus first on restoring electricity to critical sectors, including hospitals, water boards, and other essential service points. Pili added that the technical team are on the ground assessing the damage and working around the clock to restore power safely and as quickly as possible despite the difficult weather conditions. By it, Pili.
We do confirm that we have been heavily hit by the impact of the heavy rains and the strong winds that the country has been experiencing for the past 2 or 3 days. As we speak, our teams are on the ground trying to clear the faults. Most of the parts that have been affected are in the southern region, for example, Luntha, Palombe, and Chikwawa, and of course some parts of the central and the northern regions. Priority areas at the moment remain hospitals and other crucial service delivery points like water boards. But all in all, we are promising and communicating to our customers that we will do everything possible to ensure that we clear the faults and restore power supply to most of the households and the businesses across the country.
ESCOM has reiterated its commitment to providing reliable electricity to all citizens and has asked the public for patience as it continues efforts to fully restore power and enhance service delivery nationwide. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Georgia.
In case you are just tuning in, remember you are watching News Bulletin coming to you from Luntha Television, and you are with me, Patrick Pupa. But before we proceed, top stories once again. Pope Leo XIV describes Jubilee year as a powerful sign of a renewed world. Economic future urges Malawians to embrace hope and renewed determination in 2026. Heavy rains, strong winds trigger nationwide power outages. And in international news, Uganda High Court denies Kizza Besigye bail in treason case. The president of the Federation of Women and Youth in Mining, Flore Annie Kamanga, has expressed confidence that mining companies under the Federation have the capacity to generate wealth following a training session that was held at the Takula mining site in Ichimbia village under Traditional Authority Wimbe in Kasungu district. She said the mining, which focused on how to mine precious stones, as well as the entire process from extraction to when the minerals reach the market, has been an eye-opener for them. Bridget Manoka with the details.
Kamanga emphasized that empowering women and young people with practical mining skills is key to promoting inclusive economic growth and reducing unemployment in mining communities. She said such initiatives also help participants to operate safely, legally, and sustainably while protecting the environment. She therefore appealed to government and development partners to continue supporting capacity building programs in the mining sector, saying continued training and access to modern equipment will enable local mining companies to compete effectively on both local and international markets.
We felt, since most of us have never done gold mining, we thought the best way to go about it is to start with training as a processing our documentations for licenses.
Takula Site 1 Operations Manager Dinela Chomukwanda said the first mining pit has reached a depth of 29 meters, while the second pit has reached 22 meters.
So what we are doing right now is we are doing underground mining, vertical. So we have projected some other areas where we can actually do the mining and then the processing at the same time. Exactly, yes, we are on the right track to be successful, because right now we are only age to do the production.
One of the training participants from Gift Given Mining Company based in Mzuzu, Cynthia Nkandawire, said that as their company is preparing to start mining and selling the minerals, the training has come at the right time.
I've benefited a lot in this business because I've learned a lot, and hope when I go back to Mzuzu, will benefit more than before.
A total of 81 women and youth from companies including Limbigani Mining Limited of Lilongwe, Golden Elite Company Limited of Dowa District, Beyond Barriers of Kasungu District, Amazing Grace of Lilongwe, and Tutende Mining took part in the training among others. Bridget Mwanoka, Luntha News.
Residents with disabilities and the elderly in Mbizi Ward Baira constituency have welcomed the new year 2026 with happiness after their councillor Mese Tembo gifted them a variety of items as part of the celebrations. Addressing attendees at the event, Councillor Tembo said she believed it was important to mark the new year with these groups, noting the daily challenges they face and expressing that sharing with them would bring happiness and ease their burdens. Emmanuel Chocha reports.
The councillor, along with the beneficiaries from the disabled and the elderly communities, gathered at Lilongwe Town Hall to celebrate the new year and discuss her development plans for them following her election into office on September 16, 2025. In an interview, Councillor Tembo said that as a mother, she understands the struggle faced by the disabled and the elderly, which motivated her to organize the celebration and extend support to them. She further emphasized that the government is making efforts to ensure that persons with disabilities and the elderly live dignified and comfortable lives, including providing support that enable them to meet their daily food needs and start small-scale businesses.
These are the people of my ward, and they face a lot of challenges. So I thought it would be nice to celebrate the new year with them and hear about what they are going through.
One of the beneficiaries from Chinsapo, Madalitsoka Sonjo, praised Councillor Tembo for the gesture, saying she has never experienced such care from a leader before, and described her as a true mother who genuinely looks after her people. Voiceover Age Wabang reflect a commitment to uplifting the elderly and disabled, setting a positive tone for 2026. For Luntha News, in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Georgia.
And finally, in international news, more than a year since his arrest, Ugandan opposition leader Kizza Besigye has been refused bail by the High Court. Besigye is facing treason charges of allegations that he plotted to remove longtime President Yoweri Museveni through the use of force. We have an African news read by Charity Chiranga.
During a court appearance on Tuesday, Besigye described the case against him as persecution rather than prosecution, saying he has repeatedly faced treason charges over the past 2 decades without any of them being concluded. The 68-year-old has been in custody since November last year after he went missing in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Some legal experts argue that Besigye and other Ugandan opposition figures are being unfairly denied bail. One of them, Musala Abireti, Executive Director of the Center for Constitutional Governance, says the state often maintains that detainees have cases to answer, but fails to justify why opposition leaders are no longer granted bail for bailable offences, even when they meet the conditions set out in judicial guidelines. The decision comes just weeks before Uganda heads to the polls for a general election. President Yoweri Museveni, who has been in power since 1986, is widely expected to secure another term, extending his rule by 5 more years.
With that story read by Cherry Chiranga, we have come to the end of our news bulletin right here on Luntha television. But before I go, top stories once again. Pope Leo XIV describes Jubilee year as a powerful sign of a renewed world. Economic future urges Malawians to embrace hope and renewed determination in 2026. Heavy rains, strong winds trigger nationwide power outages. And in international news, Uganda High Court denies Kizza Besigye bail in treason case. Thanks for watching our news bulletin right here on Luntha television, and this has been Patrick Pupa, and I wish you a happy new year and bye for now.